Today we're going to make a watercolor in perspective. Show you a few examples on the screen and then we'll go from there. A couple different steps that we've got to take. One, you can see that I already have my watercolor set up. We're not going to be using the watercolor right away, but I do want you to see how I have mine set up. My students will be setting theirs up the same way, where their tray is on top, their water is on the side. They will be sharing a water and a paper towel. There will be two brushes, one for each student. Each student will have their own palette for the paints, but they will share water and share a paper towel. Paper towel's folded once, so it'll absorb more. We don't need a lot of water. If you can see, there's not really much water in here. If it gets too mucky, we can end up changing it out, no big deal. We don't need to waste water and make spills, all kinds of stuff. So just a little bit of water at the bottom to activate the watercolors. What I also have is we have a extra fine, ultra fine point Sharpie and just a fine point Sharpie for the end of our project. And I've got a brush. The brush I'm going to use is a number 4, I believe. Nope, number 8. Number 8 today. I may go to a 4, we'll see, but I'm going to use an 8 for now. And I've just got a regular HB pencil, which is a number 2 pencil. If you don't have these pencils, just use a number 2 pencil. And then I have watercolor paper. What I'm going to require my students, I want my students to draw a sketch first on normal paper, regular paper first, and then they will transfer it over to a thicker paper for the watercolor. But I want all their mistakes to be on scrap paper first. Okay, so I'm gonna push this out of the way real quick. I don't need any of this right now. What I need to focus on is my drawing. So this is going to be my landscape. So I'm gonna do a landscape in perspective. And what I want is multiple layers, 6 to 7, maybe even 8 layers to the scene. So we're gonna start with something close to us. So in perspective, I'm gonna show another image on the screen. This is in perspective, having a vanishing point, horizon line, and you can see things are getting smaller as they get further away. So when we're putting ours together, when we're putting our scene together, the things that are closest to us are going to be the largest. Things that are furthest away from us will be smaller. And I don't mean that the sun will be smaller than anything else, because the sun is going to be fairly large. But what I mean is like the mountains. If we were standing right in front of the mountains are going to be really big. If we're further away from the mountains, they're going to be smaller in the background, okay? But if we're standing right in front of a flower or a wave or something, then those are going to be very large. And we're going to work from closest to furthest, okay? So we're going to build this in layers, and we're going to start with what's closest to us. I'm going to actually start with some flowers. I think I'm going to do some flowers, then waves. I'm gonna wing it here. I'm just going to kind of go off the cuff. And this would be my sketch, but I'm just going to keep it on my nice watercolor paper anyways. All right, so what we're going to work on is getting those waves down. We need to practice the waves. A lot of people are having issues. I've noticed that some of my students have issues creating the waves. So there's a couple things that we want to think about when we're doing this. So I want you to practice these. First of all, the waves, if your waves are going to be one of the first things, you got to make sure that they're big, okay? So we've got to go really large on the image with the wave. So I'm going to show you what not to do, and then I'm going to show you what to do, okay? So what not to do is if you're making a wave and you keep all your spirals too close and you create a lot of spirals, that's not going to work for a wave, okay? There's a lot of different ways to make waves. This one's not going to work for the way we want it to be, okay? So don't do this one. It's too tight. It's not enough room to do what we need to do next, okay? So the first step, what we really want to do is start kind of pointing up. We're going to go down. We're going to come up, and immediately we're starting to get bigger. Keep it separated, okay? So we've got some room between this and this, and some room between this and this, okay? Now what we're gonna do is we're not going all the way back to the beginning. We're not gonna start where we started the first time. We're gonna go back to maybe here. What I'm gonna do is then aim for the middle between these two lines, best I can, take your time, and then come out, okay? The last line that we need to make, at least for what we're seeing right now, is one more line that connects those two. That's it. That's our wave. That's all we need to do to make a wave. This would then turn into these if we wanted to do these, right? Or we could do this where we come up and make another wave, kind of like that. Nothing too big. And then what we could do is just kind of take this off and go around and maybe make some more waves that direction. So we've got kind of a over, under, smaller, like we've got things that we can do. There's other options. So let's practice that again. We want to come down, up, immediately start getting bigger, and just do two. So we want 1, 2. Okay, we started here, we came down, we went up, came around, we went up. So we got 1 up, 2 up. That's it. That's all we need. Don't do more than 2, okay? We're gonna go to about right here, aim for the middle. We wanna try and be in the middle. We don't want one to be thinner than the other. Like I made a mistake right here. This is thinner than this. So we don't want that to be. We want this to be closer to the middle. Even this is thinner than this. So even I made a mistake. This is, since it's so big though, it'll be fine. And then add that line in, and this is workable, this is doable. This is not doable. Let me show you why. So if we did a tight one like this, and we did more than what we needed to, where am I gonna put that middle line? So if I go back in here and I say, okay, I'm gonna bring another little line in here, and holy cow, is that tight in there? That's too much. There's not enough space, okay? So some people might ask, well, how do you make a smaller version of this? Well, let's do a smaller version. So I start down, I'm up, and we don't ever want to be really small, but there's a small one right there, and we still have room in between. So we're going to take this, try and stay in the middle, and come out. And there you go, done, okay? You can do them backwards. Again, you can take this one and add another wave here. You could come back out, connect these. There's another kind of wave that you can make as well that I haven't really explored. You can look them up online. It's more like if you look at the Great Wave, that one has another kind of unique wave that's similar to this, but for this project, for what we want to do for this, these are the basic kind of waves that we want to go for, okay? All right, let's move on. All right, so as you can see, as I'm mapping this out, I'm trying to figure out where my layers are. So I've got these flowers and leaves and some grass or whatever in front. Then you start to see the water down here. I've been working on the waves, and I've got, you know, the 3 that I want to have in there. I don't need to have too many big waves. I could probably even go bigger on this one, but right now I'm okay with it. We'll see how it looks when I start working on the land, which this is my land line right here, which is where I'm going to start putting in my mountains or cityscape or whatever it is that I'm going to put in here. So I'm going to start in on that now. So I've got 1 layer, 2 layer, kind of 3, because the waves are before the water in the background. So I've got 1, 2, 3. And then I'm going to work on my cityscape or tree line, whatever it may be, before I get into the mountains. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some sort of dark, you know, tree line, cityscape, so that way I have some sort of context to where the land is. And I'm just kind of doing little squigglies here. This is all going to get filled in anyways. So if we want this to be different, we can make it different, but just want to get the idea of there's a town or there's something going on. And I don't even really need to lift my pencil up off the page for this. I just need to get in some kind of weird tree line or city line. I'm going to start putting my hills in. Some of these may even get split, so maybe I drop that one off here and this one is now behind this. Now I've got to leave room for my sun, whatever size sun I'm going to do. We can make straight lines, we can make curvy lines, we can do every other. And I'm not using a ruler, I'm just doing the best that I can. Okay, and then if I want to thicken these lines up, I can, this is all going to get filled in with the Sharpies. I think I'm just going to thicken up all my, kind of like little peaks on all my straight lines that I did. And I'll know that that's what I want to fill in. with my Sharpies. Okay. All right, so I think I've got my perspective watercolor sketch down. I think I'm gonna roll with this and start applying the watercolor to it.